This isn't just a fringe theory on the corner of the internet. It's being pushed by right-wing media personalities and some political figures. What do you say to them? And do they share any responsibility in this attack?
So this is Dana Bash's question to Nancy Pelosi yesterday on CNN. Welcome back to the show. It's good to be with you. And it's a garbage question. Of course it is. Because the only people pushing this stuff are the left. These are the only people who are consistently pushing this stuff. It's people on the left. And it's mind-boggling to hear this asked as a legit question. It begs the question because it assumes that this is actually happening. But this is all... we talk all the time about how the media really, really helps out with the administration, especially since they've said the greatest terror threat is... domestic terror threat is white supremacy. And I'm trying to think. I mean, they make it sound like this is happening every single day. But when I hate even bringing this up, but I'm going to do it just for the sake of statistics. I hate bringing it up because I feel like it feeds into the left's fetish with race. They see everything through race because they have to have grievance to be successful. They are not a party about prosperity. This is not an ideology that's about prosperity. It is not an ideology that supports self-governance and contentment. They need chaos and rage and division in order to be successful. Because that's when they can exploit division and flex their power and grow their power. That's what it's all about. That's why people like me are very, we're all about individual liberty and conserving individual liberty. Because I don't like giving government a foothold like this. And I don't like giving these grievance mongers this kind of power either. Now, with this, you had, like I said, I hate bringing this up, but we've had in the past couple of months, there were 2 attacks that were taken out by a black nationalist. BLM supporters. A guy who drove an SUV through a parade of people and killed a bunch of people, including little kids and old women. Then you had a guy who shot up a subway. Same thing. Then you had the Chinese national who shot up a Taiwanese congregation. He's mad about politics. And the left only wants to focus on Buffalo. There's something to be said for the left constantly flaming like race wars. That's what they do. Man, it's almost like Manson controls programming over at CNN, isn't it? Constantly inflamed, constantly pushing race wars. Constantly pushing racial division. I got to tell you, when I was younger, I was in high school, I didn't see anything like this. We thought people who push this kind of garbage were nutty. But now it's, there's division, and if you don't believe there's in racial animosity, you're part of the problem. That's what they're telling you now. So you had those 2 instances, black nationalists. You had a Taiwanese national, and you had this white 18-year-old. And and he was known, by the way, to law enforcement. Known to law enforcement. Remember, the New York Times reported Mayorkas saying, that the biggest domestic terror threat is white supremacist. Homeland Security affirms the threat of white supremacy after years of prodding. New York Times has a ton of stories under this. Tons of stories. And if you disagree with it, then they call you a racist too. There's a problem with this narrative in that the facts don't hold out. And I could sit here and get into, the reports that came in with white supremacist extremists, the report that was published by Department of Homeland Security, except they didn't rely upon any news articles or academic papers. They just wrote this opinion piece and used it as a study. There was nothing that they used to substantiate it. It was really weird. It was propaganda. But I think it's interesting that out of all of these things that have happened, the numbers don't support this focus on white supremacy as being like the biggest domestic terror thing. And this whole push of replacement theory is nuts. And this is from the left. The left is out there constantly saying that, oh, look, minorities are going to be taking over and turning everything into Democrat control. How many times do you hear this a day? You hear it a lot. You hear it a lot from CNN. You hear it a lot from MSNBC, from ABC, from NBC, from CBS. You hear it from, all of these people all the time. They're obsessed with it. They are, which I don't, if you want to talk about who's promoting a replacement theory, it's them. People who are conservatives don't care about this stuff. We don't view everything through a racial lens. Like I said, Texas is already a minority majority state. Texas has no problems. Not like that. We don't have a problem with being minority majority state. I'd have a problem if we were a Democrat state, but we don't have a problem with being a minority majority state. And ultimately, that's what think about who's pushing this stuff. Think about all the people on CNN and MSNBC. They're all white socialists. These are people, it's incredibly racist to think that because you have more of a prevalence of brown skin, that's going to dictate political outcomes. Is that not a racial assumption to assume that people who are of a certain skin color or ethnicity, etc., that they're going to vote a certain way? And wouldn't that make you the racist and not everyone else who says you're nuts for promoting this? This is them who are doing it.